Hi friends, it's Belinda here from Be Making Joy and welcome to my channel. This is episode 22 of What Brings Me Joy, a mostly knitting podcast where I share with you my works in progress so that you can hold me accountable for finishing what I start. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returning viewer, I'm so glad to have you back. It's been almost 3 weeks since my last podcast because we've been traveling and then we had several appointments when we returned. Yeah. Today I have one finished object, if you can count it as finished, because I still have ends to weave in and it still hasn't been blocked. I'll share a bit of detail about our travels. I also need to take stock of all my works in progress because I've cast on 3 new projects because none of my UFOs were appropriate for travel knitting. And I have lots of new acquisitions piled up on the bed there from my travels, from mail that was here when we came back. And you haven't seen the Color of the Month from Ancient Arts Yarn subscription yet. Oh, I feel so behind. I look forward to getting back onto a regular 2-week schedule. So let's start with the Geo Gradient Mystery Knit Along Pattern by Stephen West. Last episode, I showed you that I had finished clue 3, which were these slip stitch sections. Clue 4 was this border all across the bottom. A lovely stitch technique called the dip 5, where you dip into 5 rows below and pull up new stitches. It took me like 2 weeks to do clue 3, but it only took me 4 days to do clue 4. Probably because I'm laid up with my foot and had nothing else to do. We were in Victoria while I did clue 4. Each color section consists of 6 rows of stockinette and then the dip 5 technique. So it went really fast. It only took me 4 days. I wanted to add more colors, but I hadn't taken my yarn scale with me, so I couldn't weigh the yarn to determine. There's a cat scratching at my door. Oh, there, Nikolai's joining us, snooping through my stuff. I was saying the intention was to weigh the yarn after each section to see if I had enough to do another section. What I wanted to do, well, what I did was, here it is, started the section with color D, the darkest, because the previous side had ended on color C. And I wanted to go up the scale and back down the scale, the gradients, before I bound off, because I knew I had more of this color C at home. I had a mini skein as well that was in a gift package. But I didn't have the scale. I was beginning to worry. After doing this last row, it didn't seem like I had enough to keep going. So I thought about just leaving it until I got home so I could weigh the yarns, but I needed the needles for my next project. So I bound off in color A because that's the one I had the most of left. I still got a fair bit of each one left, but I haven't weighed them yet, and whatever, they're going to go into my sock yarn pile. Now, I really hope that this blocks out into a larger shape. It's looking pretty large now, but when I put it over my shoulders, it feels pretty small. So I'm really hoping that when I block it, I can stretch this section out, especially this section. The gauge was given for the garter stitch section, and really your tension in your garter stitch has no relationship to your tensioning of any other stitch. So I wish that this stitch was done on a bigger needle. So I'm hoping I can get some good stretch with that when I block it out. And I'm hoping that it will stop rolling up at the bottom. I didn't add the tassels. I could still add tassels. Maybe that will stop it from rolling. We'll see after I finish weaving in my ends, and I'll block it. Didn't finish weaving in my end because I kept losing my darning needle. I know there's one in the shag carpet at the place in Victoria, I think. I know there's one or two under my sofa. How many of us have a nice treasure trove of crafting supplies under our sofa, eh? Yeah, what is there to tell you about this? I've been talking about it. I've been doing it since the beginning of October. I've been doing weekly episodes with it, so I don't think you have any more questions. I'm very pleased with it, except that I hope it grows. And should I add tassels? Will that stop the rolling? What do you think? Wait, I think this section, these scales are my favorite part. And Stephen West, the designer, says it's his favorite part too. And he's already come out with new patterns using that stitch. He's already got a treasure trove, he calls them, treasure trove hat and a treasure trove sweater pattern released. And I'm impressed with how quickly he can release patterns. It's quite a process, but he's got a team over there at his shop, Stephen and Penelope in Amsterdam. Oh, yeah. I think, as I get my thoughts together for showing you my whips, I'm going to show you the view that we had while knitting in Victoria. When we booked the trip, our intention was to spend a lot of time hiking, walking the harbor front. Our view is right off the harbor front. And then I go and break my foot 3 days before we leave. We love Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. But it turns out most of the touristy stuff shuts down the end of October. Like October 31st, and we got there November 1st. But that's okay. It's a beautiful spot, beautiful views. My husband did a lot of running and walking, and I sat here and knit most of the trip. I did walk half a block to a restaurant one day, half a block to another restaurant another day. Other than that, I stayed right here knitting. And I didn't even get to the yarn store, but that's okay. I've been there before, and I will be there again. And then from there, we flew to Palm Springs with a 6-hour layover in Vancouver. And that's where my new projects come in. I had to start a project for the plane to Victoria. So I started this Musselburgh for my daughter, which you've actually seen last episode, because I did start it before our trip so that I could get the stitch count correct. I worked on it a bit at a hockey game. I worked on it on the airplane to Victoria. So you saw it then. And then I didn't touch it again until our flight from Victoria to Vancouver, 6-hour layover, and then Vancouver to Palm Springs. This is the Musselburgh pattern by Yasota Teague. It's a double-sided reversible hat. It works from the crown down in a long tube, and then the other crown, and that one end tucks up inside the other to make a reversible hat. And the hat can be done with, usually it can be done with one skein, 100 gram skein of fingering weight yarn. The pattern is for various weights of yarn, and it instructs you how to count your gauge and decide how many stitches you need for the hat. Very good pattern. So anyway, because it's reversible, we decided to make to each end a different color, right? So this is my daughter's. And I did show you that the other half is going to be in these colors. This one is yarn by Sea Turtle Fiber Arts here in Calgary in the colorway Rainbow Bright. And this one is by Poppy Yarn and Fiber here in Calgary. And she calls this bundle Study Buddies. And they all have the same fiber content. Merino, I can't read. Merino, nylon, and stellina. Right, the sparkles are the stellina. Can you see the sparkles? Anyway, so on the flight on the layover, actually, I've ended this because I reached the knot in the yarn. But I only had this little bit of yarn with me left, because what I did before we traveled was I split the skein in half. I only took half the skein with me. I decided, since I had the knot and had to break it, not that there's a problem with the yarn, I think I made the knot when it was tossing around in the bag, but I decided to just stop it there and wait and see, check with my daughter as to whether it's a good length, whether it fits right, and then had her decide what color she wants next, because whatever color goes next will be the color that turns up when you fold up the brim. And she decided on the purple. So after we got home, she decided on that, and told me what order the colors are going to go in. I need to skein them up, get that back on the needles, get it ready for purse knitting. Yeah. Okay, Dan and Ilana have left, so I can leave the door open now, and let's see if we can continue without any distractions. So, in the lounge at the Vancouver airport, I finished that Musselburgh and started another one for myself. And I got the increases finished before it was time to board the next plane, so perfect. This yarn is Socknado blend from Ancient Yarns in the colorway The Bee's Knees. It's a fingering weight merino nylon blend. I didn't even check my gauge on this one. I just carried on with the assumption that it would be the same as Ilana's. But that won't necessarily be the case because they are different fibers. So let's see. Yeah, oh, I think I'm almost long enough. I've only got this little bit left. I think I will finish it off. So, a 2-hour 45-minute flight, some waiting in the car, a 3-hour flight back to Calgary, some waiting room visits at the doctor, the x-ray, and an eye doctor appointment. Almost done. And just like the previous Musselburgh, I split the skein in half. I only took half the skein with me. I'm going to go back to Ancient Yarns with this. I wanted to see how it was going to knit up first before I choose a color for the other half. So I'm going to take it back to Ancient Yarns. I hope to go Thursday for knit group, but I'm depending on my husband driving with me because I'm still wearing the foot cast for another 2 weeks. But I hope to go during knit group so that I can get opinions from others as to what color to do the other half in. And then we have a business trip to Dallas in 3 weeks, so I want to get that and get that ready for airplane knitting again. Now, I have a third new WIP to show you. After I finished the Geo Gradient in Victoria, I started this. And it will be a cushion cover. If you're a long-time viewer, you might remember the saga of the last 2 years I've been working on a pattern design. Right there is the football version I did of a cushion cover / carry-on bag because it has a handle. And there's a hockey version, and then I tried for test knitters and got suggestions that you should do a soccer one, a baseball one, a basketball, etc. So the soccer one's done. This is the baseball version. The stitching on the ball I'm going to do in afterward with duplicate stitch. So I finished one half, started the other half. That was mostly done in Palm Springs. We rented a car, we did a lot of touring. Yeah, I shall show you the touring that we did. But anyway, about this pattern, I still had plans for a basketball. And now that my daughter, one of my daughters is on the Team Canada dodgeball team, I should probably make a dodgeball version. Of course, they'll all be the same ball background with different duplicate stitching. So I think I'm almost ready to send this pattern to a tech editor and then go back out to the test knitting process. But I do need to finish my course, my module 2 for my knitwear designer certification that I'm taking from the Knitting Guild. My deadline is February. I need to get to work on that. So I think it'll be after that before I come back to this one. Yeah, we're probably looking at March before I can make a move on this. Now, I showed you last episode the yarns I had for Peggy's Cove idea. I haven't started on that. That's part of the course that I'm taking, so I need to get started on that. Yeah, the course is due at the end of February, and I've let myself get distracted by too many other ideas. So anyway, I will show you footage from the Palm Springs portion of our trip. Then I'm going to do a quick recap of what my current WIP count is. And then I have all these acquisitions to show you. So here's where I did most of the knitting on the baseball, sitting by the pool at the house. Then a lot in the car. We took the tram up to the top of Mount Jacinto. And I tried to take a video of the ride down, but it was difficult to balance with a cane. There's no seats in the tram, and the tram revolves. It's a revolving tram, but by that, what they mean is the floor revolves while the walls stay stationary. So as you're moving about, you gotta move your hand along the handrail. So the very short video I took of that. And also they were playing some rock music that I knew if that's in the background of my video, YouTube would give me a copyright strike. So I'm talking over that. And we drove through Joshua Tree Park. Joshua Tree is a national park. I got out of a car a few times to see the view there. And I think that's all the pictures I have. We also spent the day at the outlet mall, and a few days we just stayed by the pool. Now, let me pull out my notebook and we'll look at those WIPs. Let's recap. How many do I have on the needles? I need a reminder because I've gone sideways again. So I have the Papillion shawl, which I haven't touched in a year and a half. That will get done. I love it. I've done one previously for my daughter. I love the pattern. I love the colors I chose. So it will get done, but it's a complicated sit-down pattern. I have my placemats. That's a pattern I'm designing. I need to get back to that after I finish this course. I have the Stadium Sit-Upon. I have my 2023 temperature scarf, which I think I last worked on in September. So we need to get that back up to date. It's simple. It's simple TV knitting. I don't know why I'm not keeping up with it. I have Jeannie's hat, a hat that my friend gave me that was partially finished. It's living in my car, which I can't drive now because the doctor tells me I'm not allowed to drive with a cast on because that will void your insurance. Okay, so I'm reliant on a chauffeur. So that hat's still in the car. I have my Herding Cat socks that I haven't touched since summer. I'm almost ready for the toe on the first sock. So it's a fun knit, but it's tedious because it's on such tiny needles. What are they? 2.75 millimeter needles. So it's tedious, but I am enjoying it. I have my vanilla socks, my toe-up socks, vanilla. The sock tubes themselves are finished. They were my hockey game knitting for a while. I need to go do the, what do you call it, steeking, and put in the afterthought heel on those yet. I finished the West MKAL, so let's cross that off, yay. The Pokemon cloak that I'm working on for my daughter. I'm on about the 13th color. We need to do measurements and math and stitch counts and figure out, we're putting armholes in it. Probably, no, I can't stand up. Probably, I think I'm at the point where I can add armholes. So I need to work that out and get back to that. And then I have the Musselburgh for Ilana, the Musselburgh for me, and that baseball pillow. Actually, the baseball pillow is part of the Team Canada, the sit-upon, stadium sit-upon. So do I count that as one project? Even though I've got 3 different pieces of it on the go? Yeah, we'll count that as one. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. It's still only 10 projects. Still a nice, comfortable number for me. Remember when I got to 12, I got so overwhelmed. And then there is a mystery yarn pack for December that I'm probably going to cast on right away. Other than that, my focus needs to be on finishing that course. Okay, 10 projects on November, what day is today? 21st? Okay. Well, let's talk about acquisitions. I bought some yarn in Palm Springs. I had some packages arrive while I was away, and I picked up the November yarn from Ancient Arts Yarns. Let's start with that. I'll cut out the crinkly rattling part while I open this. There it is. It's called, okay. So as always, the inspiration is an archaeological site. This time it's Ishtar Gate, Ancient Babylon. And I always get mine on their sock natal blend. And as always, I will read for you the blurb that she wrote in her email when she told us about the color of the month. So it says, our November color of the month is drawn from ancient Mesopotamia and the city of Babylon. The Ishtar Gate is a magnificent architectural wonder, and it holds a significant place in the annals of art, history, and culture. This iconic structure was constructed in ancient Babylon, which is in modern-day Iraq, during the reign of King Nebuchadnezzar II around 575 BC. And there's a picture that I will put up here, a rendering of how the Ishtar Gate would have appeared in ancient times. The Ishtar Gate was designed to leave a lasting impression on visitors. It stood almost 12 meters, 38 feet high, and consisted of 2 sets of gates, which were decorated with animal representations of 3 important pagan gods, Ishtar, Marduk, and Adad. The gate opened onto the processional way, which led to the temple district at the heart of the city. The 800-meter, half-a-mile long route was paved with stones set in bitumen and had walls 15 feet high that were also elaborately decorated with bas-relief animals, flowers, and inscriptions by King Nebuchadnezzar. And there's pictures again I'll put up. The bas-relief animals include the lion, who represents Ishtar, goddess of love, fertility, and war. The dragon represents Marduk, the chief deity of Babylon and the triumph of good over evil. The Arak is for Adad, the god who controlled the weather, which benefited the crops and animals. The Ishtar Gate was constructed of bricks that were made from finely textured clay pressed into wooden forms. Notice in the above photos that the bricks were carefully planned so that the animals' eyes aren't distorted and there are no unsightly seams on the animal bodies. The formed bricks were sun-dried and then bisque-fired, leaving them a brownish-red color. The background color is the vivid blue of lapis lazuli, L-A-P-I-S. L-A said U-L-I. Lapis lazuli. Goodness gracious. The highly prized and expensive stone, which served to symbolize the wealth and power of the city and its inhabitants. Glazes of gold and brown were used for the animals, and the borders of flowers in the processional way used black, white, and gold. The ruins of Babylon and the Ishtar Gate were excavated by a team of German archaeologists led by Robert Kodaway from 1902 to 1914. The project was funded by the German Oriental Society, and to justify the cost, most of the excavated material was taken back to Germany. Of the 120 lion friezes along the procession way, the Germans took 118. The entire Ishtar Gate was disassembled into carefully numbered pieces, and the bricks were packed with straw and placed inside coal barrels, which were then smuggled down the Euphrates River, loaded aboard German ships, and taken to Berlin. The rebuilding of Babylon's Ishtar Gate and processional way in Berlin was one of the most complex architectural reconstructions in the history of archaeology. Although the Ishtar Gate was a double gate, only the smaller front gate was reassembled in the Pergamon Museum. And again, there's another picture. The larger inner gate was too large for a museum and has remained in storage ever since. Parts of the gate that were not used in the reconstruction and many of the bas-relief animals have made their way to other museums around the world. So here it is, the Ishtar Gate. Some beautiful blues and golds and the browns and greens of those bas-reliefs. I think it's quite pretty. And by the way, I've learned through my own studies that many of the traditions observed at Easter had its origins in the worship of this fertility goddess Ishtar. FYI. So, that's that. Now, while in Palm Springs, my wonderful husband drove me to a yarn store in Redlands, California, an hour and a half away. The store was Hands-On Knitting Center, Hands-On Knitting Center, HOKC, or letters in their logo. And, oh, my purchases are in this bag. I discovered the store through the Love and Stitches podcast by Knitting Natty, and she toured the store and interviewed several of the owners. It's owned by a team of 11 women who all take turns working in the store, and I was intrigued when they showed a yarn that was made from the sugarcane fibers after the sugar has been extracted. So that is what I bought. In the colorway, well, it's a gray. I'd like to see what the name is. Let me see if I can read it. Oh, it's just a number, 8054. It's a DK weight, made from the sugarcane fiber after all the sugar been extracted. Very soft, amazing. It's very amazing. So I bought 3 skeins of that, thinking that I'd be making a tank top. And I also bought 3 skeins of this one. It's labeled as vegan silk. It's actually spun from the eucalyptus plant. And this color is Glacier. Pardon me. This color is Glacier. I also bought 3 skeins of that one. And I was thinking a tank top with both of them because this one's so soft too. They both feel so soft and luxurious. I was thinking next to the skin, so I was thinking a tank top. But then after the fact, I realized that even while it was in the high 20s, the 28 Celsius is 82 Fahrenheit. That was about the temperature most of our trip. And I was still wearing shirts over top of my tank tops. I like my shoulders covered, so why am I thinking about knitting tank tops? So now I've decided that one will become a love note and one will become a ranunculus. Nice summer garment. Both will have no sleeves. I'll end them where the yoke divides for the body. They're both top down. So then we'll see how long they get with what's left. Actually, I overestimated for the tank top, so I think it's going to be a fold-on shirt. I think it's going to be wonderful, but again, probably spring before I cast those on. And I also bought a package of darning needles there because, like I said, I lost one. The only one I took with me I lost, I think, in the shag carpet. And with my cast on, I couldn't really crawl around on the floor looking for it. So those are those. And then on our last day in Palm Springs, we had to check out at 11, but the flight wasn't until like 6. So we drove around, had lunch, visited a few stores, and I found a Hobby Lobby. And this is the first time I've been into a Hobby Lobby store. And since their yarn line is called Yarn Bee, I had to go get some to go with my brand. Bees. Oh. Again, rattle, rattle. Sorry about that. So, I went with these ones. It's actually Baby Bee. Is it DK weight? A DK weight baby yarn. So I bought these. I have a half-formed idea of something with a Palm Springs golf course theme. Do you think that looks like a golf course colorway? We'll see. It's only a half-formed idea, and it may be a few years before I can work on that idea. And there may be a few more iterations of that idea before I do anything. And, oops, that's it. I bought a box of stitch markers. Not that I needed more stitch markers, but I wanted different colors. And I bought bees. Whoops, come back here. These bees are needlepoint protectors for the ends of smaller sized needles. And then the honeycombs will go on the ends of larger needles. So that was Hobby Lobby. And then I came home to these two boxes. And just a second, I need to get up and fetch. Okay, these are both mystery yarn calendars for the month of December. And I don't celebrate Christmas, but I love surprise boxes. So this first one is from Pearl Passion out of Estevan, Saskatchewan. The same as I had last year, a Memories in Yarn theme, where each day we open a yarn that represents some significant event that took place in 2023. And on the wall behind me, you see the beekeeper's quilt pattern that I modified into a wall hanging out of last year's Memories yarns. This pattern is by Tiny Owl Knits. The original pattern is. I got some ideas of what I'm going to do with this year's, but I'll tell you my decision next episode. So these are technically advent calendars, designed to be open one each day in December leading up to Christmas. So out of respect to those who want to be surprised, I won't unwrap the yarns until then. But we're going to look at the other goodies now. So she also included a neck light. And it's in purple. I know that's her favorite color, and she knows that's my favorite color. We got to know each other on some Zoom group meetups back in the spring. So, yeah, we both love purple. So I think the package says purple. I'm going to check and make sure the one inside is purple. Yes, it's purple. That's awesome. Now I don't have to borrow my daughter's neck light. And she included a project bag. And it's got divider pockets inside, several of them, the drawstring closure, a hook here for stitch markers, and there is one stitch marker there, and also a pocket on the front, and she's included a note. It's designed by, it's created by Lotus Stitching. And glasses. ChatGPT project bag. This bag was designed by the artificial intelligence app ChatGPT. I asked it what the perfect project slow down. I asked it what the perfect project bag for 2023 would be, and it responded with specifications that included environmentally friendly fabric, gadget pockets, the color green representing nature, and the color blue to represent technology, and metallic accents. I guess that's the strips. All of these elements were included by Lotus Stitching, who was able to execute the vision. So that's pretty cool. I will definitely make use of that. I love drawstring bags. Oh, look at the handle. Just a hook over your arm. That could be good for walking and knitting, if I ever get to do that again. Yeah. Going to be a fun winter with this cast. Well, hopefully only 2 more weeks with the cast, but then we know there's going to be some recovery. Anyway, the rest of the box, we've got envelopes for each day, 1 to 24. There'll be cards inside these explaining the yarns. And then we've got the yarns, all individually wrapped and numbered. And a sticker of her logo, Pearl Passion. It's reflective, I'm not sure you can see it. And here's her business card. Her name is Megan, and she's out of Estevan, Saskatchewan. www.pearlpassion.com. So I will open these on their respective days. I will post a very short video each day on this same channel under the playlist entitled Yarn Mystery Boxes. Oops, I forgot to put those in. And then there is this box from Ginger Snap That here in Calgary. Her theme was Enchanted Winter Fade, although the box is Christmassy. But you know what? My husband doesn't celebrate Christmas. I imagine he'll make use of this box. I mean, he does celebrate Christmas, while I don't. So anyway, Ginger Snap here in Calgary. And they have a website. And as always, I link anybody I talk about in the description box below. What's this? It's a poem. Welcome to our version of an enchanted winter. I love to walk in softly falling snow and watch the earth fill up with downy flakes. It lifts my soul and sets my heart aglow. It doesn't matter where my path may go, near homes in woods as the moon sets the snow to glow. The colors amaze me and bring such delight. There's much that I'm willing to forgo, to take in nature's beauty and partake. It lifts my soul and sets my heart aglow. From soft blue to deep hues, this enchanted winter makes my heart glow. We hope you enjoy your countdown calendar, and we wish you and yours happy holidays. So I'm looking forward to some icy blues, purples, whites, I hope. And these ones are bigger skeins. I think they're 50 gram skeins, maybe. I don't know. They're bigger than the other ones. The other ones were 20 grams. Anyway, numbered 1 to 12. So it's actually a 12 Days of Christmas box. And it's my understanding that the 12 Days of Christmas, the song refers to the 12 days from the 25th until January 6th, the day that's known in some cultures as Epiphany. So, as to not spoil the surprise for others, that's when I've opened these ones. So that's all my acquisitions. As always, I have links in the description box below to all the patterns and all the shops that I talk about. And you're all caught up on what I've been doing for the last 3 weeks since the last episode. I look forward to getting back on a bi-weekly schedule. So the next episode will be December the 6th, will be the next full episode, as well as the daily yarn reveals throughout December. And if you'd like for YouTube to notify you when a video is posted, please subscribe. And please give me a thumbs up so that more people will get to see this video. The family just arrived back home. So until then, thank you all for joining me. Happy knitting, happy crocheting, embroidery, needle felting, whatever it is that you like to do, go find some joy.